everyone, my name's Emma. Today we are going to talk about lessons from college. I graduated last year in 2020. I was the first graduated class that did it all in this pandemic. It was very strange and it was a quick turnaround, and honestly I had gone to like 10 different graduations in the past 5 years. So I feel like I have had the graduation experience, even though it wasn't me personally walking across the stage on all of the college graduations that I went. And that's the first thing that I want to talk about is that was one of the first lessons that I had to learn. It's you're going to have to grieve your existence as a student. And that's the longest period of time that we've spent doing anything. From about 5 or 6 years old to about 22, 23. It's about 17 years that you did and had a routine that was pretty similar. Of course, when you went to college, it changed a little bit, but to an extent, it was the same. You had classes, you had homework, you had tests, you had group projects, and then you graduate and you're expected to take on and embrace a brand new life. And it's hard to do that, and it's something that you absolutely have to grieve. I felt like it was compounded because I didn't have the send-off and didn't say goodbye to everyone, but that's okay. And we'll get into that into the second lesson. But it's okay to grieve that experience, and you're gonna feel really, really sad when you graduate, and that's okay. It doesn't diminish how happy you are to be graduating. It just means that you're saying goodbye to a life that you knew for so long. And there are many lessons that we can take from school years that we've talked about on this channel, and we will continue to talk about. And as long as we can do that, as long as we can look back and appreciate what we went through, take those lessons with us and move forward, it's worth it. And you're just going to have to grieve it, because change is grief. And at the end of the day, it's something that you just have to go through. And as time goes on, it'll get easier. You'll be like, how did I ever go to school every single day and constantly have tests? And life will just continue that way. So it's okay to be sad when you graduate, and you might be sad and you might be like, I don't want to continue going to school, but it's just something that you did for so long that you have to let go. The second lesson is that you do not owe anyone anything. Now, this really goes to high school, to college, to the rest of your life, but you don't owe anyone a response. You don't owe anyone a reason for continuing to talk to them or for stopping communication. You do not owe anybody a response. If somebody messages you, somebody texts you, it is up to you whether you want to answer them or not. And that is a choice that nobody can take away from you. And at the end of the day, sometimes the easiest thing is to cut off the communication if that is what you see is the best for you. It's going to be hurtful, but it's going to hurt maybe that other person, but you're not doing it to be hateful. If you're doing it for the reasons that you want to continue to grow, or you feel like you're on different paths and you just don't feel like this is a relationship that's continuing to grow, either of you. Sometimes to be cruel in that moment is honestly the kindest thing that you can do. And especially from 16 to 25, but probably until you're 35. I don't know, not quite that old yet, but you're going to be learning about yourself, you're going to be growing, you're going to be changing, and you do not owe anyone a space or a place in your life because you've known them for a long time, or because you saw them every single day, or because any reason. You don't owe anybody a place in your life. And that really leads me into the third one, is that you don't have to continue to live a life that you no longer want to. You don't have to continue to be the exact same person you were a few days ago. And that time period while you are in school, from 16 to 22, from even younger to 23 and continuing, you need to be focusing on yourself. And everybody is obsessed in that age to have a relationship, to have somebody to talk to have friendships that last a lifetime. And the truth of the matter is a lot of people that you meet are going to be in your life for a certain amount of time, and then they're going to go. And you need to let them go when it's no longer applicable for both of you to be in each other's lives, when it's no longer fruitful, when it's no longer beneficial for you both to talk. It's time to let them go, and that's okay. And we need to stop seeing it as the end of a relationship, as the end of such a huge thing and that it needs to be dramatic and drastic. It's okay if things just fade off and you just move on. That's okay. And if you can, in that time period, if you're just starting off school, whether it's high school, college, even higher up, just take the time to work on yourself. We're always force-fed this image of you need to find your soulmate. You're going to find them in college. By the time, I don't know, some statistic, by the time you're like 20, 90% of the people have met the person they're going to marry. And the fact alone is that you're going to, I hope, live for a very long time. And think about it. If you're 20 years old, if you're 15 years old, do you really think that you're going to be the same person for the rest of your life? Probably not. Hopefully not. Hopefully you continue to learn about yourself and work on yourself, and that you continue to allow yourself the space and the depth to grow, and that you continue to read and you continue to travel and you continue to take care of the relationship you have with yourself, because that is the most important one that you can have. There's, of course, other relationships that are beneficial, and once they are no longer beneficial, or once we no longer are getting the kind of satisfaction that we desire to get out of talking with someone, whether it be romantic or otherwise, or friendship otherwise, it really needs to be something that is adding to your life. And that's something that we feel like we almost don't deserve to an extent. Like, I feel like I was like, well, I have to talk to this person because they were really nice to me, or I have to do this because of some abstract reason. And the thing is, just like we said, you don't owe anyone anything, and you should be continuing to search for who you are and continue to grow your interests. If none of the friends that you currently have are interested in going to Pilates or going to horseback ride or whatever it is, go and do it. You're going to find people there that want to do that. You're always going to find people in life if that's what you're interested in doing. And if you're here, you're probably interested in growing and making intentional choices and wanting to make decisions that are better for you. If I was 15 again, I would tell myself, just focus on yourself. All the guys who are going to come into your life and go, they're also in the process of becoming who they are. So most of the time when you connect to somebody at that age, it's because there's some kind of trauma there, or there's some kind of emotional lack that is at the same vibration as the other person. And it's quite difficult to really see past that. And you think that you're so enamored and you're so in love. And when it comes down to it, if you do get in a relationship and it ends, you will be okay. Time heals everything, because time allows you to import new adventures, new perspectives, new people, new conversations, and it allows you to minimize that event that in your mind right now is like the only thing that could ever possibly happen to a human being, especially to you. And it's not true. You're going to have amazing experiences. You're going to continue to grow. You're going to continue to move through this world and learn who you are. And graduation from college is just one of those steps. It is an important one, but it is not the end of the entirety of what you will do. So it's okay whether it was last year and you missed a graduation, or you've missed a graduation, or you feel like it's such a important thing to not miss out, or any of those things. It's okay. You will have many beautiful moments, beautiful experiences, and whatever you feel like you're missing out on, you are on time. You are going to achieve every single thing. And I feel like this past year really gave me that perspective. I was like, I need to do all of these things. I'm so old, da-da-da-da. And I feel like we try to sell that image of you graduate college and then you're instantly like married and have kids and like have been at your job for 15 years, like once you've graduated college. And it's like, no, everything takes its time. Everyone, when they're 15, thinks like 25 is extremely old, and that's just how we all are when we're teenagers. We think we're the coolest, we think we're amazing, and I wish that we are taught to take more of that time to just focus on ourselves. Go play the sports that you like, go do the things that you're interested in, and learn about you first and foremost, because like we said in one of the other videos, you are the person you're going to be with for the rest of your life, and you need to make that the most amazing relationship in your life so that when people do come into your life, you're able to actually see who they are and not try to project this undue potential on them that they may never and will probably never live up to. So focus on yourself, honestly. And then the fourth one is one part about college that we're probably actually never taught about and never talk about, and it's one of the most important ones. If you're going into school, to some extent, you probably have loans, whether it's a lot of loans or it's a little amount. Nobody told me that when I was starting school how loans worked. So figure out your interest, figure out which loans you have, keep a running tab of them, keep all of the different financial aid documents all in one place throughout the years. You're going to really appreciate it by the end, and just keep track of interest that's accumulating, whether you're getting loans from your school or from private locations, from private banks. Please make sure that you understand your financial status. And also, if you're graduating and you have no loans, you're probably going to at some point get a job, and you're going to have more money than you've ever had in your entire life. And that is going to seem like, oh my God, I have so much money, I can spend it on whatever. And if you can, while you're in college, while you're in high school, and even when you graduate, if you can really take the time to figure out, what should I spend money on? Why am I spending money on the things that I am? Figure out why you're buying things. And we had another video where we talked about why we all buy so much stuff, and we're trying to seek for that validation. And of course, when we no longer get validation from getting good grades and the people around us telling us how amazing we did, our professors, we then import these objects into our life. So oftentimes, a lot of people get into more debt when they start working because they are seeking that validation from the stuff that they buy. And then in 5 years, they're like, I don't even remember buying this, or I don't want this, and they throw out a lot of it. And every time you throw out an item, that is time that you are literally throwing out because you exchanged time for money most of the time. That's usually how we do it. We exchange time for money, and then you exchange money for that object, and now you just threw that object out. So really figuring out your finances, taking a step back, realizing that it is a lot of responsibility, but if it is a decision that you're making to go to a school that is expensive and you're deciding to take on the responsibility to take on these loans, understand the depth of that responsibility and the consequences of those decisions. It may take you quite some time to pay off those loans, but it will put you in a better place if you understand what loans you have, how many you have, the interest on them, and how you can pay them off. What is the best option for you? How are you going to move forward in your life now that you have a lot of responsibility? Because there's pretty much just the responsibility of to show up to work, and then you get to leave work once the work is done, or at 9 to 5, whatever it is, and then you have a lot of time to deal with that you haven't had to before. It was always to some extent scheduled. You always knew when the next test was, you always knew when the next homework assignment was, you always knew what you had to do, but now no one's telling you. And that brings me to this fifth one, is create habits in high school, earlier, in college, after college, all the time, and your habits are gonna change, and you're going to continue to grow. Some habits you're just going to let go of, but some habits we've just imported into our lives and we don't know what to do with them anymore. And the thing is, we need to be working on our habits. When you're in high school, a lot of people are told about the freshman 15 when they go to college, and it's a real thing because a lot of kids have so much of their routine controlled by others. Whether you're getting lunch at school or your parents are making your dinners every night, you may or may not know what you should or should not be eating. But when you go to college, you have access to every type of food. They have absolutely the healthy food as well. They have the vegetables and the fruit and the salads and the healthy stuff that you want to eat. But they also, at every meal, have all the junk food, or like the food that you would probably, when you were in high school, only have once in a while. But you could literally have chicken nuggets and french fries every single meal because nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody's making you go to class. Nobody's making you go to any of this stuff. Back when you were in high school, there was repercussions for not showing up, for coming late, but there really isn't, not to the same extent, because you are now paying to be there and you have to take on the responsibility. And many of us are in some kind of sports team, or we had to go to gym every day or whatever it was, and you're going to have access probably to a really nice gym, and there's going to be gym classes, but you have to make the decision to sign up and go. So if I was starting college all over again, I would tell myself to figure out finances, figure out your loans to a better extent, figure out an exercise plan for yourself. Do the exercises that you want to do. I grew up dancing, and I'll post a few of the YouTubers that I watch and love their dancing down below. And, while I was in school, there was periods of times where I would just do those exercises because I could not stand some of the other ones. So figure out what you like. If it's running, there's tracks at the school, there's different routes that you can run. If it's being on different teams, there's always some kind of club version of all of the varsity, Division 1, Division 3 sports at your school. So there will be student athletes. Most of us probably were not student athletes in college, just because a lot of the times you have to be recruited or you have to be specifically chosen. But there's always club sports, there's always teams that you can join, that it's not as big of a commitment, and that you can be literally at any skill level and join. So figure out exercise schedule, figure out your finances, and then figure out your eating as well. I really wanted to go vegan when I was 14, and I talked about that before as well. And I didn't until I was 19, so it was after my freshman year of college where I figured out I'm going vegan now, and this is for sure, completely. But during that first year, I didn't really know what to do. I was like, somebody else always made food, and when I did make food, it was not that extensive. And then I got my own apartment. For the next 3 years, I had roommates as well, and I had to cook on my own, or I was buying food, and that's a big thing. Don't waste money buying food. Take the time to cook the food when you have your own apartment. Obviously, if you have a dining plan, take the time to really focus. Make sure that you are eating throughout the day and that you're eating good food, nutritious food, because it's really important. And if you do have your own apartment, learn how to cook on your own, cook some of your favorite meals and figure it out. Don't go and waste money on buying food. You may think it's easier, you may think it's cheaper. It's not. Doesn't matter what scenario you look at it from. It's not cheaper, it's not healthier, and it's just not better for you. And when you do cook, you can use that time as this is time where I'm doing something productive, but it's not as consuming as maybe homework or dealing with group projects. So it's really a time where you can just focus on yourself and be like, I'm taking this time to cook, and then I'm going to take some time to eat. And we all need to be creating routines and schedules for ourselves while we're in college. I feel like I was just constantly running after something. There was always a meeting I had to get to, always a job I needed to go to, always friends who wanted to hang out. And make a routine for yourself and then allow others into your schedule. Do not accommodate to anybody else because it's not worth it. And whatever you are doing for others, understand that in a few years from now, no one's going to remember it. So all the nights that you went out partying when you didn't want to because you wanted to please somebody else, they're not going to remember it. But you will have felt those effects for a long time. So don't sacrifice your time, your willpower, what you want to do for anybody else ever, because nobody else is worth it. You don't owe anyone anything. And that's really it. So I will be coming out with more lessons from college. Hope to be releasing an ebook within the next few months that really lists out a lot more items that we can take with us through college and for the rest of our lives. There's so much that we all need to learn about ourselves, about the world, and I wish somebody would have told me some of these lessons, and definitely all of the lessons that I will be writing in the Lessons from College book. So I hope you stay tuned for that. It is coming soon, and everything that you do starts with a choice, and you get to decide what you're going to choose. So choose wisely. and choose with the intention of the understanding of the consequences. We all get choices, and we all need to take responsibility. Hope you got something out of today's video. Stay tuned. There's many more videos about life, sustainability, minimalism, what we can do to take control over our lives and continue to let go of everybody else, because at the end of the day, all you have to really focus on is you, and everything else will fit into place. I hope to see you soon. Until then, have an amazing day.